Welcome guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream, and yet part 2 of working on this guy here. That's the AC Cobra 427 SC Cobra by Fujimi. I think that's how you pronounce it. Fujimi, I don't know what it is. Some Japanese brand. It's not Revell, it's not Tamiya, I don't know. I've never built one of these ones before. As you can see right here, this little black car sitting on my desk. I went and sanded down those lines that were very prominent along here, which while it was white you could not really see at all. And actually, now that I triple check, I can still see a little bit of a variation right here on this particular fender. So basically what they did is, they've got their mold seams. They've molded this all in one particular piece rather than separate ones. And of course, well, the drawback is you're going to get mold lines. That's the way it goes, right? So yeah, anyway, I have decided, in the last episode I was talking about painting the silver and then going to go over with a gloss blue or a clear blue, right? I have since changed my mind as I looked online, because I was curious. Remember last time I was kind of trying to figure out exactly where the engine's going to mount along this rail here. There's no actual notch for the engine to mount. Here's the engine without transmission. There's no actual slot that this actually slots into in any definitive spot. So it's kind of like, where does it go? I don't know. So I decided to go online and I watched a couple of other videos of guys building this exact same model. And guess what color they painted their cars? Blue. Just like the kit. I'm not going to do that. I'm going different. I'm going to go flat black. Why? Well, I've got this real kick-ass Boss 429 engine that's blown that I'm going to be putting in this thing with a pair of big honking drag slicks going in the back end. This car's going to be pretty cool. It deserves a cool color. And what's more menacing than flat black, right? So I'm going to go flat black, and the stripes are going to be gloss black. That's what I'm going to do with this puppy. Okay, I still haven't decided what I'm doing with the hood, because the hood is going to be a challenge, as this engine sticks out of the hood roughly something like that, and this hood needing a gaping hole for this huge blower and fan belt that's going to be sticking through it, right? So that's a problem for future me. Right now I don't really have to worry about that. So, anyway, that's that. I did paint the trunk also. I am still debating whether I'm going to leave the trunk actually able to be opened or not. I believe the kit comes with hinges. That's something I do criticize about the videos that I did watch of these guys building this. One guy, he actually filled in the little panel line around the doors. He filled it in with putty and he scribed them himself so that they're much smaller lines. Both of them took the little side vents here and they opened them up. One guy opened it up completely and put styrene pieces in there, replaced the fins completely. The other guy just opened them up in there. If I'm leaving this black, I don't really need to worry about it. I don't care. I'm not going to bother opening these things up. Okay. One guy, he did drill out the bottom in here, and which is now hard to see with my cameras because it's now black. But there's a hole here, and you can see the intercooler down in the bottom here. So they drilled it all out and made it hollow. Okay, well, whatever. I like the fact that you can see the intercooler through there, and I'm going to leave it. So there you go. So that leads to today. What am I doing today? Well, I need to paint a couple of things. I need to get some gloss aluminum to paint on the frame. The frame itself, the chassis, is going to be black, but you've got all this aluminum plating under here, including these. This is going to be aluminum. Our basic sidewalls of the engine bay, aluminum. That's aluminum. Aluminum panel here. This is actually, I think, the back dash slash rear trunk panel, you could call it. I'm going to do the shocks, do them in aluminum. I got to paint the rear end in aluminum. The underside of the actual interior bucket, this all has to be aluminum. This is going to be exposed and visible, you know, in here, something to that effect. So you're going to see all this, right? We've got a lot of ejector pin marks. Maybe I need to clean these up. Yeah, I think I'm going to clean those up because they're going to look kind of funny when it comes to looking. You know, that's another debatable thing. How often am I going to pick up this kit and actually look at the bottom and look underneath, right? That's another thing I always try to take into consideration. Am I going to be picking this thing up and looking at it from underneath? How often am I going to pick up the kit and go, that looks pretty cool under there, or oh, look what I missed? Or am I just going to leave it on the shelf and look at it and go, yeah, that looks cool, right? Something to think about. How often are you going to be picking it up and looking at it? Is it almost never, like me? Yeah, probably almost never. So how much detail do you really need to do underneath? Are you going to be putting it in some kind of a modeling show? Then maybe you should consider that. If not, then why worry about it? Okay. Now, that being said, I have to consider the fact I'm going to be putting these fat tires on this car. And, well, this kit's not made for big fat tires. Here's the stock tires that come in the kit. And it's going to go right about there. If I were to put this on like that, it's going to go something like that. This upper A-arm suspension piece kind of just go right inside the rim, just a little bit like that. And that's roughly how this tire is going to sit, right? Something like that. We do the same thing with this big monster. And well, that tire's sticking way out of the body. We can't have that. It's got to be tucked under. So, it's got to be sitting more like this. Okay? Let me change the camera and so you can get a better idea of what I'm talking about. Okay? So let's change this. There we go. Okay. So again, this is your stock wheel. Would kind of sit like this. Kind of go right, almost right up against this here. Right about there. You know, it's going to be sitting roughly right there. Okay? Again, same position, but now this tire's sticking way out. We grab the body, and we just kind of fit this in here like this. And we just kind of tuck that in. There we go. That's how that's going to sit. Okay, so this tire would sit something like that, right? Kind of like that, right? Looks okay. It's not bad, but we're putting this tire in. Okay, now we can't have it sitting like this, right? In fact, it doesn't even go down low enough for that to go in because the diameter of this tire is actually bigger too, right? So, what are my options? Well, I need to trim this. As you can tell, you can probably tell, I've drawn a line here and here. Here and here. I got to Dremel those out. I'm probably going to be losing this A-arm. Okay? Probably. Which means my suspension is not going to be realistic. So, I was debating what rear end to put in this car. Let me grab the kit rear end. Okay? Let me grab my instructions and have a look at the rear diff for this car. right here. So we want B21 and 22 is the rear diff. So let's grab that. Okay. Just for comparison's sake, we're going to do this. Okay. There's our rear diff. Okay. Right there. Let's put her together. Simple enough, not really anything fancy or nothing like that. Again, I'm not going to be using this, so it doesn't really matter what I'm doing. But what the heck? Let's put her together just like she's supposed to be. Okay. So there we have it. There's our rear diff. Okay. And that's going to sit kind of in this little cradle. See that little notch there? That's where this guy would go. I'm not sure which is up on this diff. How do they show it? It looks like this way. Yeah. Looks like that way. Okay. So, well, technically down. So, like that kind of fits in roughly right there. Okay. Okay, so it's like that. We'll get that centered in there. There you go. That's where it's going to sit. Okay. But I can't put these tires on that diff. So what are my options? Well, I could cut the axles off, just trim it down so that the tires can go flush in there, or use a completely different diff altogether, right? I was thinking about, oops, this one's black, but I've got a couple of spare. This is off a dragster kit, okay? Top Fuel dragster. There's a nice purpose-built differential to handle the torque of a 8,000 horsepower dragster, or maybe they're more now. This one just hasn't been painted. This one's black. Okay, this one's already been painted aluminum. Now this one's actually for a dragster tire, and that'll fit in there just like that and be nice and beautiful. So I was debating which one am I going to put in this car. All right, I could try fitting this in. And it does kind of go. It's a little tight, a little bit tighter fit because it's definitely bigger, but it will. If I really want to finagle it, it will go in there, right? But I was thinking it's a little bit too big. But I have this one. This differential is out of it's not a Top Fuel dragster, but a Top Alcohol, an alcohol dragster. So obviously it's not meant for 12,000 horsepower. It's made more for about maybe 3,000 to 4,000 horsepower or something like that. Anyway, it's definitely smaller, and it's actually got the disc brakes on it already. So I'm trying to get it to match up. I'll deal with that in a sec. Trying to make sure I'm actually going to be able to fit these tires in here. So that of course is a dilemma, right? You need an axle that's narrow enough that when you got it together it'll actually fit, and this one fits beautifully just like that. And I even have just a little bit of play. So I'm going to have a little bit of wiggle room with that axle. You get a little preview of the side profile of this thing with that tire in there. That's going to look really cool. Let's put the front wheel in there like this. You get a little bit of a preview. I think it's going to have a little bit of a rake, depending on how much that sticks down, right? That's going to look pretty cool though, right? but it might be just perfect when you got the side exhaust out there. That's going to hide the little bit of clearance there. That's going to look really cool if I can get that in there. I think I can. It's looking promising anyway. The trick, of course, is actually getting the axle into this spot with these disc brakes already on it, which it's proving to be a little bit of a challenge, especially with these A-arms already on here. And I think these A-arms are going to be going bye-bye. I really have a feeling that's going to happen. But in the meantime, let's Dremel out this section here and here so I can actually get the tire. Now this little front section is also going to have to go. This spot right here, let me get my knife. This is also going to have to go away, right, to fit this tire in there. Right, that's going to have to go away. Bye-bye. Now I could just go snip and clip that off, right? That's not easy. That's not hard to do, right? So, oops. Oops. Yeah, see, very easy, gone. Like I said, this plastic seems to be a little bit, just a hair more brittle than Tamiya plastic, or Revell for that matter. Anyway, let me grab my Dremel. Grab my Dremel. I will use the smaller cutting disc. I got it. It's smaller, just in diameter. Exact same as the one I used yesterday. This one's just newer. Same thing though. And I'll just buzz in there and buzz in there, and then we'll be done with that. Leaving just a little bit so I got something to work with. You know, it's not the end of the world if I were to Dremel too far. It would be take too much out. That wouldn't be the end of the world, but it's better to leave a little bit that you can trim. Okay, and that piece is gone. Alright, see, I've got a little bit I'm going to have to trim there. I can just do this with the Dremel. That down just a little bit more and use my knife to make that flush. Actually, I'm going to use my file. It's a little bit too much for my knife. All of this doesn't really matter too much because, like I said, at the end of the day, I'm not going to be looking at the underside of this very much. So, it's all just a matter of trimming enough that it's going to, that the tire's going to fit, right? That's the main goal here. I'm pretty sure with my measurements I took that this is going to be fine. So should be plenty. The other thing you want to consider is the whole suspension dilemma, right? With the suspension being what it is, on this car you have these, right? Now in a real car that's got this kind of modifications done with these kinds of tires, they're not going to have A-arm suspension on it, right? They're going to have a 4-link setup. If you don't know what a 4-link is, it's basically something like where you'd have 4 bars that come off of the diff and mount to the frame up front here. So you got 4 arms, and that's where they call where they get the name 4-link from. So now with that out of the way, this diff is a lot easier to fit in there, but as you can see, it's interfering. My little disc brakes are kind of right in the spot where they still don't want to go in. They're interfering on these 2 little braces. I can almost get it, but not quite. If I were to take them off and then put the diff in and then put them back on, then they would fit in perfectly. But since I got it, I'm probably getting rid of that anyway, because, yeah, see with these, it hits the inside of the rim, and the tire can't go in all the way. So unfortunately, these do have to go. They're going to have to go. So I'm going to just trim them off. I want to try and keep this little bulkhead. Getting in there with my cutters is a little challenging though. There's one gone. Of course, it is a little bit unnerving when you're removing stuff like this, because it is kind of like, well, there's no turning back now, right? Now you're committed. Now you're really committed, right? You've just really butchered this kit. And so there's where the tire is going to fit. Okay, bingo. Just like that. Now, I don't know if this is part of the kit or if this is... These 2 pieces seem to be angled outwards a little bit. They're not perfectly straight up and down. I don't know if you can see that. See, they're a little bit like that. I don't know if it's supposed to be like that or if it's just the way it's molded. I can turn them in since they're no longer a huge feature. And now let's take a look at this. My diff fits in there now. Bingo. My rear end fits. So now with the rear end in there, we're going to do a little test fit. Am I going to be able to put the tires in afterwards, or do I have to have the tires on the chassis first? You know what I mean? Because theoretically, there we have it. I see some paint coming off of this diff, which tells me this may have been chrome at one time. So, there's that. hold the diff there. There is enough room. There we go. And there's where the tires will sit exactly. Just like that. Although it's upside down, sorry for that. But I'm the one putting this together, so I need to be able to see it myself. So there we go. There's kind of how it's going to sit, just like that. Alright, I am happy with that result. So now the question is, suspension realism. The tire's sitting like this, where's the suspension? Right, sure, it's got the brakes on there, so that's cool. But what about the suspension? Well, there really isn't any. The lower A-arm is supposed to go right here and here. That's what this little notch is, right? These little square notches in the frame, those are for the lower A-arms. But this thing's been pulled in so far, there is no room for any kind of setup. Now I could try and give it some illusion of an actual suspension setup. Let's get this out of here now. Okay. With the diff in here, I could take a little arm or something like that and run the arm from the top side of here and run that like here and here, so it looks like there's actual suspension arms going down there, right? And just leave this sitting in that little spot like that, right? But I think that's all I'm going to have to do as far as customizing. I need to trim this a little bit better here. There we go. I like the fact that I'm able to keep this part. That's going to add some stability to it. Need a little more on this one. There we go. Okay, so these are basically garbage now. So there's our original diff, that's going bye-bye. Okay, so I'm going to paint some aluminum. So I'm going to fire up my air compressor. And, well, it had, like I said, it's been a little while since I've actually painted anything. So, I'm going to do some aluminum on there. I've got my LP70 by Tamiya gloss aluminum. I put a T on there, that tells me I've already got it thinned. Some paints I have thinned and other ones I don't. Front suspension is going to be stock, so that means I am going to be using the shocks. I just don't know whether it's number 1 or number 2 because I haven't really looked at the instructions yet. This I'm going to have to paint maybe another time because I want to put some putty in there. There's my Tamiya putty. Tamiya putty. Excuse me. These are all kind of indent a little bit. I believe so. These are not raised. No. The edges are. So these are indented just a little bit, a little hair. Every one of them. And it's just going to look really silly. So, a little bit of Tamiya putty. I'm just going to put that there. Mia putty, of course, it does dry really fast. But that being said, you still need to give it time to cure properly. One more little spooch on there should be more than enough to get these last two. All right. Now, of course, the thicker you have it, the longer it's going to take to dry. That's natural and normal. See, this is already hardening. So that's the beauty of this stuff. It's, I don't know, it's a double-edged sword. It's cool that it dries so quick, but it also can be a pain in the neck when you want to try and work with it a little bit. But it's already starting to dry on you. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to put this aside for now, and let's paint some aluminum on these guys and this. See if there's anything else. It's going to need it. This looks like a plate. Like that almost looks like it's supposed to be the underside of the engine. I'm going to see what that's supposed to be. I don't see that. It's not in the engine build. It's not on this section. I actually don't see this part anywhere in the build at all. You know what it almost looks like? It almost looks like a dummy plate. Like, if I didn't know better, it almost looks like something you just put here to pretend you've got an engine and a tranny or something. You know? Like, I don't know, it just looks really weird. Almost like that right there is almost where it would go. They don't show it in the instructions at all. And why not? Well, because you've got an engine and transmission to put in there. This is nothing. Anyway, I got some aluminum parts to paint here. So let's get painted. Let's mix this up a little bit. That should be more than enough. I don't have, and I know that some of you guys like to watch me paint. I don't have my other camera set up right now to show you guys, so you'll just have to bear with me a little bit as I'll change the camera at least to this one so you can kind of see me a little bit over in the corner. Basically, I'm not going to be painting the whole frame, so not aluminum anyway. That will be black. So this will be just a few sections. You know, these frames are all powder coated, right? Powder coated black 99% of the time. So I did the front there, right? It's kind of hard to tell. Now it's the opposite. I've got gray primer, so the aluminum's hard for you guys to see. So basically just going to do some of the pieces that are underneath the frame here that would be aluminum. Of course, the back part. Make sure you get all sides. It's always important. So there we go. It's aluminum now. Okay, I did that plate in the middle there, and I did the back also. That's aluminum. The rest of it is all going to be black. Right? So there's really not much. So I'll do the shocks here too. Give them a little coat of aluminum. Sure to get all the angles. If you don't get all the angles, you lose your realism. Okay. The other pieces on this sprue, there's that canister there. I'm not sure. I think that's an oil canister of some sort. We got the rad hoses here and here, but I got the shocks done. Now this piece I believe is going to be aluminum also, so I'll do it now. I might have to change it and make it black later. I do not know, but we'll do it aluminum for now anyway. Like I mentioned before, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be closing up the trunk. There we go. It's aluminum. And we have this piece here, which I believe is a mirror, but I'm not 100% sure what that is. I haven't looked in my chrome to see if my rear view mirrors are here in the chrome or not. Possibly these pieces are the mirrors. Looks like I got two fuel caps. Oh well, whatever. Yeah. Let's see. There's not much on this that's going to be aluminum. Do the disc brakes. but the suspension, it's all black. I really should just paint this sprue all black. So that's going to be it for aluminum. Move this out of the way so I can clean up my brush and stuff. Hello, sorry for bothering you. I want to offer promotion of your channel. No, thank you. I like to always preserve unused paint as much as I can. Not that I'm cheap, but because why waste it if you don't have to? Right? It's already thinned, so why not? Put that over there. Time to clean my brush. It's always the fun part, right? I've always heard guys say things like, oh, you should never pull the needle out the back of the gun because you can drag paint into the body of your airbrush and stuff like that. You know what? If that ever happens, then you just run some thinner through the body and clean it all up. It's as simple as that, really. But, you know, you clean up the cup good enough, you clean your needle in the cup as much as you can. Lots of thinner. You don't have to worry about that stuff so much. Trying to kind of pull it out very gently as not to scrape the needle against the sides, you know. You know, I'm not purposely trying to drag the needle against the sides of the brush as I pull it out, right? So what I do like to do is I like to let that sit. Before I assemble it, I want all the thinner and everything dry. Right? I want it all to give it all a chance to dry with nothing in it. So that I can go back later and when I put the needle in, if I feel any resistance, I know I've got dried paint in there. Right? Which is why I'm just going to let the needle sit here for now, and I'm going to say the brush is clean. And and we'll move on to something a little different. Okay. Don't need my air compressor on now. Alright, so with that done, I can probably start working on this. So, as long as I haven't done too much, I might be able to start shaving some of this off. Now, if the putty is still not cured enough, then what you're going to happen is you're going to accidentally pull some out of it, right? If the putty is cured, then you're good. And you see I pulled the whole blob of putty right out of that hole, right? Because it's not fully cured yet. Which tells me I need more time. So, let's do this again. Put a little bit of putty in that one, and a little bit in this one. Okay. Just for added measure, add to that one. Okay. That also means I need to let that sit, maybe for a good half an hour or so, before trying to do anything with it. Okay, the thicker the putty, the longer it's going to take. And that's quite alright. Patience is a virtue. Sometimes that's what it takes. Okay, back to this. I should have painted this aluminum, because the rear end's aluminum. It's not black, right? But that's okay. Now, painting the frame. For all of our pieces that are on this sprue, 90% of it's going to be black. These are black. These are actually supposed to be chrome. Fire extinguisher is going to be red, but we got it primered right now. These look like suspension pieces, but maybe not. Definitely disc brakes. So I think these are going to be the front discs. Let's have a look here. Yeah, they're actually two pieces. Actually, that's the rear. Let's look at the front. Okay, let's look at the front. The fronts are one piece. The fronts are B10 and B9. B9 and 10. That's these two. These are the fronts. Okay. I'm going to take these off. Whoops. Okay. 9 and 10. So basically the way these are going to go in is they're going to sit like this. Right? Just like that. It's not a very realistic look, but it's what we've got. And it's going to sit like this. And like this. and we're going to have an arm going across through there. And so the steering will actually be functional. It's going to have functional steering on this car. It's kind of a neat little gimmick. But before we actually put it on, we have to actually put the pin through the back to mount it to the wheel. So that makes for a little bit of a dilemma. I need to have this painted first. So what I want to do is mask off my aluminum parts here so that I can spray paint the frame. And the rest of this is going to be black. Yes, everything else is black. Steering wheel. You know, traditionally the steering wheels on these cars they're a wood. You know, the ring is wood with the middle being chrome. I'm just going to do it black. And mine's going to be a little modern. I did see one guy when he built, he actually drilled out the holes in the gauges, and he took another piece of styrene and he put the decals, because this kit comes with decals for the gauges right here. It's a decal that basically fits right over top, bing, just like that. And so what he did is he drilled these out, all the holes, and then put another piece of styrene shaped like this, and he put the decals on that to give the gauges that depth, right? It's kind of a cool idea. I actually like that idea. Rather than the gauges being flush. Or actually, if I feel with my knife, they actually stick up there just a hair. They're raised just a hair. But that's not important. I'm going to hit these with some 1500 black and get these painted. I'm going to take these off of the spruce so I can get the sides of them nicely. And I think I might take the rad off the sprue also. And just for the ease of painting, get rid of that so that I can get the top of the dash. Alright, and maybe I'll do the same with the steering wheel. Let's get that off of there. There. Okay. Steering wheel can be a delicate piece to work with sometimes. I've had steering wheels break on me in the past, and you have to glue them together again. But not always, just sometimes. Okay. These parts of the seats you're not really going to see, but still, I don't want to have these nubs sticking out, so let's clean that off. quite the line they've got going on here for the bucket. See, these were molded in black, so yeah, when you scrape it away, the black underneath is showing. It's perfectly alright. Doesn't really matter. I'm literally painting them in primer. You don't really notice any flashing until you look and you see, hey, that's not a nice smooth edge on there. The flashing is very minimal on this kit, but it is there in a few areas. Radiator is one of those things, you know, radiators are made of aluminum, and yet they're always painted black, except on race cars. They don't bother painting them, right? They just stay aluminum. You leave them the base aluminum color. I think I want to use a toothpick for that, if I can. Toothpick is going to be maybe a little too small. Maybe I'll use the end of a brush. No. What can I use? What can I use? Something that's skinny, but not that skinny. Drill bit? How about that? That'll work. I just need it to hold it. Okay, let's get my paint. Just regular 1500. It's Mr. Surfacer. I'm gonna make it so you guys can't see any of this stuff. Again, every angle, because every angle needs coverage. Now it's all black. And now I need to turn my fan on. Okay. On the radiator, I'm going to grab it by that little nib right there. Well, now I have a black radiator. You there. Where'd my steering wheel go? This one's going to be the fun guy. I can honestly say I've never painted a drill bit before. Okay, seats. What I want to do with the seats is this. I made this thing a long time ago. It's just some cardboard sides. So this allows me to stick the seats like that. So I can get every side except the bottom, which doesn't really matter about getting the bottom anyway, right? Two very black seats. Done. Now that gives me some continuity, everything's going to be the same, and it's all a nice flat black that's going to stay flat black. And I don't need these right now. Doink and doink. Okay, so I want to mask this off because I just want to spray it, right? I don't want to bother trying to brush paint it. Then if I just brush paint it, then I have to try and make sure I don't get any brush strokes on there and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna mask it. You guys get to watch me mask. That's gonna be fun, right? Maybe I should just call it a day. I'm kind of feeling like that right now. It's going to take me a while to mask this, so I want to leave it, at least for now anyway. I have to get to these, get that fixed up, get this sanded up, and I got to paint that aluminum. And I want to paint the rear end. I got to paint the rear diff aluminum. And yeah, that's basically going to be it for today. Gotta let that all dry. And yeah, so unfortunately we didn't really get a lot done today, did we? Painted some aluminum, butchered the back end a little bit, and that's about it, right? So unfortunately sometimes this stuff does take some time. It's a bit tedious, and you might feel like you spent a lot of time and didn't get a lot of progress done. And sometimes that happens, right? And you just take the good with the bad, right? It's about the results. It's the end game, and you don't want to rush it. And you start rushing it, then you're going to start making mistakes. You're going to do things you don't like, and that kind of stuff. Take your time. Enjoy the kit. Enjoy your stuff, right? That's the main thing. I think this is going to look really cool once I got that rear end in there, and I got those big fat tires on that. That is going to look really awesome. I'm looking forward to that. I'm anticipating that a lot. Yeah. I mean, I could have put the humongous, even the dragster tires. The dragster tires don't fit in the frame. That's pretty crazy. Dragster tires are just that much bigger, right? These are out of like a pro stock car or something like that. Compared to the dragster tires, they're even smaller. Same width. They're just smaller diameter and more street, right? Anyway, I was kind of tempted to see if I could fit the rim in there, but the rim is the kit wheel is a bigger diameter than what those are. I'm guessing these are supposed to be like 17-inch rims, and these are 15s. Traditionally, dragsters and all those kinds of cars that do that kind of racing, they're all 15-inch rim. Anyway, this is where I'm going to leave it today, guys. And so I want to thank you guys for watching. Thanks for coming out. Leave a comment down below to let me know how you feel. Should I really try to attempt the suspension on this or not? Something that you're not really going to see. Doesn't really matter, right? Kit's going to be on its wheels 99.9% of the time. So, does it really matter? Chances are no. See, there's a couple of little things on this, on the railing here, that's going to be cleaned up, that's going to be cleaned up. This little flashing here, just a little bit of flash, there's not much. Like I said, there's not a lot on this kit, but there is a few spots. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it, guys. Thanks again for watching, thanks for coming out. Head on over to my Twitch channel if you feel like it, hit a follow on there, subscribe to me if you even really feel like it. hit that subscribe button down below. I know over 80% of you who watch my videos are not subscribed. So just subscribe. Help me out. Yeah. And watch my videos. Watch lots of them. Watch lots of my videos. No. Yeah. Do what you want. That's the main thing. Be happy, have fun, and enjoy it. And thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all the support. And we will see you all in the next one.